I'm Allendale's chief meteorologist Ryan Martin with a look at your midday weather update. And generally speaking here, I don't really see anything earth-shattering on the midday model runs that make me change the forecast. The forecast still looks like it's going to be one that includes good precipitation for the Corn Belt going forward, especially for soybean production. Overall, it's going to be a forecast that has the heaviest precipitation backloaded to the back half of the forecast. But that doesn't mean we're not going to see anything here short term. Still watching as a cool front kind of sags to the south and east across the Corn Belt. So far, all it's done is triggered a little bit of cloud cover across parts of Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio. I have seen a couple of attempts at radar echoes firing off in places like Illinois and extreme eastern Iowa. I'm not sure if that's just ground clutter or whether we actually have been able to see some isolated shower action pop up. To me, with this low basically being a shift in wind direction along the front as it moves south, it's just not the kind of event that you would look at promoting real good precipitation, but still, we'll continue to talk about it being out there here through the afternoon. Going forward, models here not really getting too excited about changing things up. We like a scenario that has a little bit of scattered moisture moving across the Corn Belt basically from tomorrow, so Friday, right on through Sunday. And admittedly, like we said in the write-up this morning, things get off to a fairly slow and ambiguous start over Iowa, even as soon as tonight into early tomorrow. There's going to be some moisture around, but it's just not all that impressive. This morning's model runs, the midday model runs here, just not helping to change that right now. I do think, though, that as we get into probably late tomorrow, or I should say late Saturday through Sunday, we're probably going to be seeing the action pick up, both in frequency and intensity. So I'm going to continue to rock and roll with my thoughts in terms of overall rain totals right now. We generally like, as we go through the weekend and through early Monday, totals of 0.5 to 1.5 inches of rain, coverage about 70%. I think to get into the 1.5 inch part of the range there, so the upper part of the range, you're going to have to rely on some thunderstorm action. And that's the reason why the range is as big as it is. If this didn't have the thunderstorm component added to it as these things move across the Corn Belt, we'd probably be looking at 0.5 inch or less. So the moisture available just isn't that impressive, but the potential for convection is. Now, as we go longer term, go into the forecast period later next week and into the week following, we're seeing definitely some wetness coming. I think after the moisture early this week or the weekend, we're probably going to be dry through most of the rest of the week. We might be able to see some minor precipitation over the northern Corn Belt next week. Let's say I-80 northward. To me, it's not exciting. It's not something that I really want to hang my hat on. There's no real strong front that does that. But the extended period, we've got two strong fronts. And you know what? 24 hours ago, we were concerned about how the models were bringing one and then bringing one immediately after, and it just didn't look right. It didn't feel right from a meteorological perspective. We were skeptical, I guess, to say the least. Well, today, as we mentioned in the write-up this morning, things fit together a lot better. Now, there's still plenty of time for the models to kind of screw this thing up, so by no means are we changing our forecast majorly in the extended. As a matter of fact, we're going to leave things as is right now, looking for some confirmation model runs going forward. But basically, from the 24th to the 28th, got two fronts. One early on appears to have good rains for a large part of the Corn Belt, but it moves fast. So 24th, 25th. And then the 26th through the 28th, the secondary front moves much, much slower. I think the two combined probably will give us 1 to 3 inches, and I'm going to keep coverage at 90%. We bumped that this morning a little bit. No reason to change it right now. We think the heaviest rains will probably be where these fronts start to initially develop, so upper Midwest, northern plains into the upper Midwest, places even like Iowa, northern Illinois. Those will be the higher end of the range. As everything moves farther south and east, we're probably going to be in the middle. I'm not really too worried about people missing out on this in entirety. Otherwise, the other part of the country that we really want to keep an eye on, out west, there are some things there that are hinting at change. We have seen over the past 1 to 2 model runs a massive surface high start to park itself or develop on the models toward the end of the period just off the west coast of the United States. And you might think, well, big deal, right? True, but this is a cooler, I would almost say Canadian-like high in nature. And what it's going to do is it's really going to combat the ability of a heat ridge to form. So we've got a couple of systems coming through in the second half of the forecast period that hammer that big heat ridge down over the west. And if we have the high that parks off the coast then and it has trouble building back, maybe we have changed the pattern. Why is this important? Well, first of all, it's important because the West has been so hot and dry to start with, and they need a break, and we need to try and get some moisture into those drought areas out there. Secondly, though, a good part of this season's weather pattern across the Corn Belt has been predicated on the fact that we've got a typical or a standard entrenched pattern of big ridge in the west and therefore trough in the east. And that's what's led us to cooler temperatures. If we hammer that ridge down and we can go back to more of a zonal flow pattern or even get maybe a trough to dig in off the west coast, that will change how things operate across the rest of the country, including the Corn Belt. It would support maybe seeing temperatures moderate a little bit, getting closer to normal, which would be warming a bit as we go into September and October. Am I sitting here saying that it's going to be warm? No, I'm not. But I'm saying that the pattern that has been in play all summer long and has led to the growing conditions that we've seen over the Corn Belt, that might be trying to change out west. And, of course, you'll see the trickle-down effect from there. So it's something we're watching very, very closely. That's what we've got in your midday update. Have a great rest of your day. If you've got any questions on the weather, give us a call at Allendale. I'm Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin.